through the mighty Harwich harbour. It's a pretty rotten day for sailing, a North Sea chop without the benefit of much in the way of wind. This will be the last serious commercial traffic I encounter until I get up to the Humber, and who knows when that'll be. Where the docks are now used to be an RAF station, one of the first in the UK. It was where they kept a squadron of flying boats. Initially bought in from America, but the Brits tweaked the design again and again. By the time they got to the Mark V, the Felixstowe flying boats were almost unrecognisable to their original designers. They used to tow them to the theatres of operation on barges behind frigates. A terrible way to treat a bit of high-tech equipment made of wood, cow-gum-doped fabric and massively crude Rolls-Royce aero engines. Pity the poor engineers who had to look after them. Maintaining the beast in the bowels of the slug is, I now realise, a piece of cake.
The engine, and there is my arrangement for changing gears. Blue to go backwards and red to go forward. And all I can say is, so far, so good.
Then it's past the headland at Landguard Fort. It was a military establishment for 500 years. In 1667 it was attacked by 1,500 Dutch marines and pikemen led by a rebel English officer called Dolman. He had just one cannon and had hoped to capture the fort. They were repulsed by the curiously named Duke of York and Albany's Maritime Regiment of Foot. And so ended the last attempted invasion of mainland Britain. And who masterminded this plan? De Ruyter, the Dutchman who gave the British Navy such a good kicking down in the Medway. Needless to say, the army kept on throwing money at Landguard, and it's now a pretty impressive bit of military infrastructure. Most of it designed to keep the French at bay, but there are also bits to protect us against the Germans and even later the Russians.
If you stand up, you can get away from the noise a bit, but it is awful, absolutely awful. The only way to cope with it is to put your headphones on and listen to Air on Copeland or something. But in a way, days like this are perfect travelling days. I can travel quite long distances if I can grit my teeth and get on with it. It's absolutely safe because it's like a mill pond. As long as the engine doesn't pack up, should be able to keep doing this for hour after hour. There is one thing that does amaze me about sailors who, they think of themselves as being quite wily people, they understand tides and so on. But once they put their engine on, they just forget all the principles. Across from me is a channel, and the tide is really schlepping in down that channel. Just to one side, just to the landward side, there is a huge area called a flats. It's a whole area of mud which is covered at high tide. Well, the tide is coming in. Oh, look, there's a football. I always feel sorry when I see a football. So, there's very little tide here. But what are the sailors doing? They're all motoring straight up the middle of the channel. I mean, that's just barking. If you look at the chart, you can see that there's this massive flats, and what they're doing is they're going up this channel here, barking mad. There's a big flats across here, where there's less tide. Okay, now it's back to the music, because there's nothing to film. It's rather dull. I'm in for a dull day. Can't see the wind farm. Hope it doesn't get foggy. Ooh, that'd be horrible.
Then comes the seaside town of Felixstowe. It was once a pretty fancy resort with its suitably bizarre architecture, great choice of colours, serried ranks of cheerful beach huts. Wallace Simpson, the divorcee who shacked up with King Edward, spent 6 weeks here waiting for her divorce to come through. Edward flew in at regular intervals for Nookie, but Wallace hated Felixstowe. She wrote, "The only sounds were the melancholy boom of the sea breaking on the deserted beach and the rustling of the wind around the shuttered cottages. No hint of distant concern penetrated Felixstowe. On fair days we used to walk along the beach, and for all the attention ever paid to us, we could have been in Tasmania." So there you are, Felixstowe out of season, not entirely unlike Tasmania. On around the coast, the sea defences are pretty impressive. And they have to be. It's always been under attack from the sea, and some parts along this coast have retreated a full mile since Roman times. The entrance to the Deben has one of those fiendishly complicated and constantly shifting shingle bars you find at the mouth of East Coast estuaries. Finding the right channel can be a bit of a challenge.
Fortunately today there are lots of boats to follow in, so you can see how disturbed the sea is. This is a calm day.
Oh look, there's a jet ski, broken down, taken in tow by his mate. My heart bleeds for you, old chap.
That's the speed a jet ski should go at.
The Deben snakes 10 miles inland, a pale shadow of the mighty estuary it once was before the Dutch seawall builders got their hands on the place. You can see the ghosts of the creeks and inlets making their way across the pastures behind the sea walls. The estuary goes up past Ramsholt. Then to Waldringfield, past Woodbridge, and to the end of the navigation at the Melton Road Bridge. Again and again I come back to the entrance, drawn to feel the power of the water. It's a dynamic, fascinating place, its moods constantly changing.
Vicious stuff. Wow! The boat just took a sudden shift sideways as that water came and hit us.
These East Coast River entrances are a work in progress, a constant battle between the longshore drift diligently bringing tiny bits of Scotland down to East Anglia, which it then attempts to pile up across the mouths of the rivers. Set against that are the 12-foot high 4 or 5 knot tides slopping in and out of the long, deep estuaries, the pressure of water continually punching new trenches through the shingle banks. Through the year the navigable channel snakes wildly around, changing shape with every gale and spring tide.
You can see this area of really disturbed water here. It's off the point that water's boiling between these two little masses of land. When we came up here before, there's a spit that joins the two, so you can see that it's just buzzing across it.
I shouldn't think it's just an hour before high tide and it's still really slopping in.
The small settlement of Felixstowe Ferry stands at the mouth of the Deben. One hell of a job, I reckon, being a Felixstowe ferryman, rowing well-laden boats across this stretch of water. Big blokes, strong arms. It's well worth mooring up here for the night or picking up a buoy and feeling the tide tugging and straining at the boat as you lie in your bunk. A trip ashore is worth doing too. Wonderfully weird architecture. Great boats, excellent chips, good beer. What more can a sailor want? What I really like about the place is that it's hard to tell where the boats finish and the houses start. Some of the vessels or dwellings are strange hybrids. The place would bring a wry smile to the face of Flann O'Brien, who had it that objects that spend too much time in close proximity slowly grow into each other. The molecules mix, until the point where it's hard to put a dividing line between a man and his much-loved bike. And that's what's happened to these boats and buildings at Felixstowe Ferry. They've merged, become one. The Deben River has no real commercial traffic anymore, not much of a fishing fleet either. And amazingly, Felixstowe Ferry has a sailing club. How they manage to run races with tides like these is a bit of a mystery. But of all the East Coast rivers, the Deben offers the best, the most challenging, the prettiest place to sail and race small boats. The river is now dedicated almost completely to the pleasures of the sailing man and woman.
This is river sailing, just creaming along. The boat is going fine, and there's 2 knots of tide underneath me, so we're whizzing through the countryside. And the scenery is zipping past.
Never seen a finer collection of interesting and sometimes expensive boats as on the Deben. Some sailors, I'm told, spend their whole lives here, seeing no reason to ever leave her. Every year, like a beguiling mistress, she changes in some subtle way. A mud bank moved there, a channel deepened here. A new line of trees changes the wind patterns. It'll be great to spend a few days here and find out why for some people the Deben is the archetypal East Coast river and satisfies every sailing need.